So I'm driving home from work, and I noticed that my car feels a little wobbly. This can't be good. I steer it, and it doesn't go anywhere, which probably means I have a broken tie rod or something else. How's your morning going? Okay, a little update here. You guys see this here? That's my rack and pinion assembly. And you see that little nut right there? And there's another one over here. You can't see it without any light. There you go. See that? That's the mount tabs from the frame. That's my rack and pinion right there. The entire effing thing is rusted free from the frame. So there's no mount tabs left on the frame. The whole area here is rotted away and cracked. You can see the crack there. And same on this side. The whole area right there is all rotted away. So yeah, the front subframe is pretty much junk, which sucks, because in order to replace all this, I'd have to pull the motor off, or pull the motor and transmission out, pull all the front end components, pull the frame off the bottom of the car, and replace the frame. Yeah, great. Hey guys, it's Kenny Kizzle back at Rusty Nuts Ranch. So, as you can see, we've got the rear section of the 42 Farmall H in here. And before we start talking about this, I want to give a huge shout out to Ryan. He's the guy that donated the wheel weights for this project. If you guys remember, he brought them to the Now Then Threshing Show for me to pick up. So, huge shout out to him for that. But last week, he actually dropped off a replacement fuel tank. So, big shout out to Ryan. Can't thank you enough. That thing is in great shape. There's no patches on it. The inside is clean. It's got a little bit of discoloration, but there's no flaky rust or anything like that. So, it's mostly just flash rust from sitting. So, we did that. We thanked Ryan, and before we move on to this, I just wanted to touch on, you know, this project is to bring awareness to mental health and suicide. And just this last week, one of my good friends, who's also a coworker of mine, he lost his brother to suicide. So gosh, it sucks, you know. There's been, now that's, you know, I didn't know his brother, but my coworker is a good friend of mine, and you know, that's 5 people that I know personally that we've lost to suicide, and this is a huge problem. I mean, and it brought a lot of stuff back up to the surface about losing my mom 2 years ago, and it kind of refreshes everything for the friends and family of the victims when you hear of another person that felt that there was no other way out. And if you know somebody, or if you yourself are feeling down and like the world's never going to get any better, keep your head up. talk to somebody, send me an email. I'll talk to you. Just, you know, there's always a better way. So it's just, it sucks, you know. But so anyways, coworker's name is Matt. So if you guys could say some prayers for his family and his brother and Matt himself. So just, it sucks. But anyways, as you can see here, moving on with the 42H, we have the wheel off this side. Okay, I did that just because all we have to do, oh, Raylan's out in the shop with me, so everybody say hi, Raylan. I did remove the wheel. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's 2 clamp bolts on the inside of the wheel and 2 on the outside, so you loosen those and the wheel slides off the axle, hopefully without much trouble. So I did that so that I can remove the axle seal cap, and that is just held in place with 4 cap screws, and there's a gasket behind here. You can kind of see it here flaking away. So the seal is held in this assembly here. I'm going to drive the seal out, and I've got new seals for the axles. I've got new seals for this shaft, which carries the brake pedals and the clutch pedal. I've got a new seal for the belt pulley drive, and in order to remove the belt pulley drive, it's just these 3 cap screws and the entire assembly slides out. So this is the surface that mounts to the surface of the housing. There is a shim pack on here, so make sure you keep track of your shim pack. There is no shims for these axle seal carriers. One other thing I did do is I removed the PTO, and this also has a shim pack, so keep that in mind. It's just 5 cap screws and the whole PTO assembly slides out. Now, one of the things that you have to be aware of is you don't want to damage these shims too badly if you can help it. What I did was I used a thin putty knife, steel putty knife, and I kind of worked it between there until I could get it in between the shims and the transmission case, and then I slowly pried, and I grabbed a small flat screwdriver and pried. Then I went a little bit bigger, and progressively just pried it out until finally I could get a decent sized chisel behind there to pry that out. So I've got the PTO assembly sitting on the workbench. It looks like this. So this is the drive end inside the transmission, and this is the PTO end, obviously. And there's 2 seals. Now this is the early H. So on the later H, you don't have to remove the PTO assembly to replace the seal on the PTO shaft itself, but I'm not sure about the actuating lever. So on the early H, you have to remove the entire PTO. The seal for the PTO shaft itself is in this journal. And then there's a seal for the actuating lever, which is, well, you have to disassemble this whole assembly to get this lever out in order to remove the seal. So that's going to be a learning process because I've never had one of these apart. So that's kind of where we're at now. I've also got new seals for the, see if you guys can even see in here. Probably not, but the bottom drive right above my finger is for the hydraulic pump. That is the countershaft, and then the top shaft, which is up here, has a seal on it as well. That's your input shaft. So I got 2 new seals for that. So let's see. So we got countershaft, input shaft, belt pulley drive. There's a seal on each side for that brake and clutch pedal carrier. Oh, axle seals, PTO seals. I've got new pinion seals for the brake pinions. And this is going to be kind of an adventure as well. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. When I didn't really discuss how I removed the belt pulley drive. I just took a hammer and lightly tapped on the pulley flange itself, and it easily just came right out. So, but in order to replace the seal in this carrier, we have to remove the gear, remove the bearing. There's a clip inside to keep this bearing in place, and that'll have to come off, and then the flange, the mount flange itself, will slide off the shaft, and we'll be able to replace the seal in that carrier. But I know I'm kind of all over the place right now, but I'm just trying to get this started, I guess. I'm trying to have all the seals put in it by next weekend. So we'll see. I don't know. That's kind of ambitious. The temperature is supposed to drop out here again. It's about 60 degrees today, but it's supposed to be down in the 30s and 40s by midweek. So it's not going to make it real horrible in here, but I can't be out here with Raylan while my wife's at work when it's cold like that. So let's hope that this is probably as far as I'm going to get today, but let's hope that next weekend we can hopefully get these seals done. So I don't have any plans next weekend that I know of, so it should be feasible for the most part. Anyways, we should be able to get the axle seals done, the PTO seal, the belt pulley drive, and the countershaft and input shaft. But the brake pinion seals might be a little bit more difficult, and I'm not sure about this cross shaft for the brake and clutch pedals. I don't know how easily or how difficult that will be to remove. So we'll have to take it step by step, and I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Let's see, today is Sunday. It's the 20th, I think, October 20th. But anyhow, that's where we're at. And like I said, I didn't film any of removing this stuff just because it's simple cap screws. So you just take the cap screws out for the flange on the belt pulley drive, tap it out, and it'll come right out. Same with the axle seal carrier, 4 cap screws after you slide the wheel off, and you can tap that out. And the PTO is the same thing, 5 cap screws. Get a putty knife and work your way in behind the shims to not damage them, and slowly work it out. Then get a little bit bigger screwdriver, and progressively it'll come out without damaging the shims. So that's all I got. So thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned for the update, and hopefully next weekend we can really make some progress and get this thing back rolling. So stay tuned, and have a good one.